You walk past your own front door every single day. You unlock it without looking at it. You've done it so many times, your hands know the motion before your brain does. But if you stopped just once and actually looked at the frame, the mailbox, the fence post near the sidewalk, you might find something there.
A small mark, barely visible, placed by someone who was never supposed to be seen. This isn't a ghost story. It's stranger than that, because it's real. For over a century, people have been leaving marks on doors, walls, and fences to communicate with each other without saying a word. Some of them were harmless, some of them were warnings, and some of them meant that someone, at some point, stood exactly where you're standing now, studying your home like a puzzle to be solved. In the early 1900s, traveling workers moved from town to town looking for food, work, or a safe place to sleep. They had no phones, no way to warn each other about which houses were friendly and which weren't. So they built a language out of chalk and scratches. A cross meant kind people live here. A circle with a dot inside meant this house has already given, don't bother. A triangle with hands meant the owner has a gun. Historians who study this system today still find it scratched into old buildings, decades after the people who wrote it are gone. But here's the part that should make you sit up a little straighter. That kind of coded language never disappeared. It evolved. Security researchers and former burglars have described, in interviews and in documented police reports, a similar practice still happening today. Small marks near door locks, a symbol on a mailbox, a tiny scuff at eye level on a fence post. Not graffiti, not random damage, deliberate, small, and placed exactly where someone would need to look to notice it. Why would anyone do that? Because a house that's been checked is more valuable than a house that hasn't. A mark can say, this door is easy to force. It can say, nobody is ever home during the day. It can say, dog, but old and slow. It can say, alarm sign, but no actual alarm. It's a shortcut, a way to skip the risk of asking around and just read the information straight off the property. You've probably driven past marked houses without knowing it. Maybe you've lived in one. Now, most people never notice these marks, and that's not because they're careless. It's because of something your brain does on purpose. Psychologists call it selective attention, and it means your brain filters out anything it has already decided is unimportant. Your doorframe gets filed away as background information the very first week you move in. After that, your brain stops actually looking at it. It just confirms it's still there. Which means a stranger could study your door for 10 minutes and you would still walk past it every day for years without seeing what they left behind. There's a related effect that makes this even stranger. It's sometimes called the frequency illusion, first described publicly by a reader who noticed it after learning an unfamiliar word and then suddenly seeing that word everywhere. Once your brain is told to look for something, it starts finding it constantly, in places it was always present but previously ignored. Which means once you finish this video, you may start noticing small marks you've walked past for years without ever registering them. That's not paranoia. That's just how attention works. In the mid-2000s, several neighborhood watch groups in different countries independently reported the same discovery. Homeowners, after being warned by police departments to check their exteriors, found chalk marks, scratched symbols, or small stickers near their doors that they had never placed there and could not explain. Some of the marks matched known burglary marking systems that had been documented by security consultants. Others didn't match anything on record at all. Nobody could say for certain who left them, or when, or why those particular houses were chosen over the ones next door. Which raises the real question underneath all of this. If someone is standing at your door long enough to leave a mark, how long were they actually there? Long enough to notice the extra newspapers piling up? Long enough to hear if a dog barks? Long enough to see which lights turn on at night and which windows never do? That's not a few seconds of vandalism. That's an evaluation. Someone deciding in real time whether your home is worth the risk of walking through its front door. Most of them decide it isn't. Most homes get marked as not worth it and left alone forever. But the ones that do get marked as safe don't usually find out until it's too late to matter. There's a documented category in criminology called target selection, and it describes exactly this decision-making process. Researchers who study burglary patterns have found that offenders rarely choose targets at random. They choose based on visible cues that take seconds to read. A gate left open, an overflowing mailbox, a car that hasn't moved in days. The mark isn't the danger. The mark is just the note someone leaves for the next person, or for themselves, so they don't have to do the work of noticing everything twice. Which means, somewhere out there right now, someone is walking a street slowly, eyes moving across doors the way you'd read a page. Not breaking in, not yet, just reading. And your front door might already say something you never gave it permission to say. Here's the part that isn't in any police report, because it can't be proven, only felt. Once you know a system like this exists, you can't unknow it. Every scratch near your doorknob becomes a question. Every scuff mark on your fence becomes something you didn't put there and can't explain. You start looking at your own home the way a stranger might look at it, cataloguing its weaknesses instead of its comfort. The couch you love, the porch light you never replaced, the gap in the fence you kept meaning to fix. Somewhere, someone might have already read all of that in under a minute. You don't need to be afraid of your front door. You need to actually look at it, maybe for the first time since you moved in. Check the frame, check the mailbox, check the low corner of the fence where nobody thinks to check. Not because something is definitely there, but because for over 100 years, people have been leaving messages exactly where you'd never think to read them.
And the only defense anyone has ever had against that is simply choosing to look.
So tonight, when you get home and you unlock your door without thinking, without looking, the way you've done 10,000 times before, stop just for a second and actually look at what your front door has been quietly saying about you the whole time.